so I had talked to my pastor a little bit, and I was like, hey, like, I feel like God's calling me to forgive him, but just how do I forgive him after all he's wronged me? And he was just like, listen, like, you're called to forgive, but you don't have to forget. You don't have to have that relationship with him if you don't want to, which really just kind of helped me and just kind of comfort my feelings. And I was like, I called him and I was like, hey, like, I just want to tell you that I forgive you for everything that you've done, everything that just you put me through growing up, just not even being there. And I just truly forgive you. And so that really helped me growing up. And then, unfortunately, a year later after I forgave him, he had passed away.
Welcome to Faith in the Line of Duty, a podcast where real people in uniform share how their faith in Christ has carried them through the toughest moments. I'm Daniel Johnson, husband, father, and currently active duty in the United States Air Force. Each episode, I sit down with military members and first responders to talk about the power of the gospel, the strength of community, and how faith transforms lives, even in the line of duty.
The views expressed in this podcast are those of the host and do not constitute endorsement by the Department of Defense, Department of the Air Force, or the U.S. government. Now here's your host, Daniel Johnson.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Faith in the Line of Duty. Today I have the honor of introducing Jaden Dunn. He's a really good friend of mine, so we're just going to talk about his story today. So thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Glad to be out here.
Yeah.
Even though it's like super hot around here, very humid.
Yeah.
Not used to it. But.
Yeah. So yeah, what I usually like to do is just kind of start from the beginning. Just tell us what your childhood was like.
Yeah, so growing up, I grew up in a very big household. My mom had 6 kids, and I'm like the youngest out of the 6, and my dad ended up having two other kids later on. But so I kind of lived with my mom for a little bit growing up, and then I kind of started living with my grandma around like age 4 or 5, something like that. I don't really remember as much because I was kind of a kid, and she just kind of helped me grow up, raise me for a little bit. And my mom, she was always in and out of rehab. She wasn't really into just not really down the right path, which she started to get a lot better. And so I started to move in with her around like age 9 or 10. And then she was doing a lot better. She was sober for a while, and which, like, being 9 or 10, I didn't really know what that meant, but I was like, hey, like, I finally get to live with her. Like, I'm so excited. And unfortunately, she had passed away, and she had overdosed. And so that made me kind of go back to living with my grandma for a while. And really kind of did a toll on me just growing up, because that was like my mother, and my dad never really in the picture. He would come in every so often. And so I lived with my grandma. There was probably 7 or 8 of us at her house. I mean, there was a good amount of people that lived with her. And at the time, I was in the Big Brother, Big Sister program, and so was my next older brother. And I had this mentor named Danny. I would go on trips with him. But my brother, his big brother, Jay, he kind of invited me out a lot, as well as my brother. And I kind of got more connected with him more. And just kind of growing up, I kind of drifted towards Jay and his wife, Kathy. And they actually, like, really were a huge part of my life growing up. And it kind of gave me a spot to move away from the big household to, like, they live on like a farm with no other kids. And I was like, freedom, what's this?
Did you live out there?
Yeah, so I mean, I did during COVID. I spent most of my time there. I still, like, lived at my grandma's house, but I was always over there just kind of growing up on their farm, helping at the deer shop, just kind of like being a kid and playing in the mud or whatever. But so I grew up at their house mainly, and they really like help gave me the morals that I have today. As well as my grandma for sure, but she was always busy. My sister has uh, at the time had 3 or 4 kids, and my grandma was just kind of help raising them too. So she had her hands tied for a while. So I just got more attention over there and just more guidance at their house. And later on, actually, just recently, I'd changed my last name to theirs just to kind of honor them because I was like, well, they took me in like their own and they never really had any kids of their own. And I was like, hey, like, this is the only way I can repay you. So, so just recently I changed my name to theirs and they're like my mom and my dad now. So it's just kind of a little bit about my childhood.
So, if you don't mind me asking, like, how were you able to deal with that as a kid? I mean, you said how old were you when she passed away?
So it was in 2016. So I guess I would have been 9 about to turn 10 or 10 about to turn 11. Um, it was definitely hard. It was, I mean, not really fully comprehending what happened just because I was like, yeah, like she's passed away. Like I mean, I went to her funeral and all that, but I was like, I never really understood like she was gone. And so it kind of uh, didn't really set in till I was probably going into 7th, 8th grade year whenever like all the kids at my school heard about it. And if they would search up my name, like her actual obituary would pop up. And I got made fun of a lot about it in school, which it really hurt just kind of growing up. And I mean, I ended up getting in a fight because of it in 8th grade, just because like kid was like making fun of me and like making fun of my mom. I was like, I just didn't know what to do. But so it definitely like took a long time to be able to cope with it. A lot of my siblings coped with it a different way, which I mean, we all have our own way of just kind of dealing with grief and trauma like that. But it definitely, just being so young kind of hurt.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. I know that's kind of difficult to talk about. What was your favorite memory from your childhood?
My favorite memory. It's a good question. I'd just say just riding four-wheelers on the farm out in the mud and like
Yeah.
just not having to like worry about like being home by a certain time or whatever, being outside. Like I knew the farmland and I knew like where all the muddy spots were and just be
Yeah.
able to just gas it on the four-wheeler. Like that was a lot of fun for sure. As well as like going on BMX races. So I raced BMX ever since I was probably like 8 or 9, and just going out with just that big BMX community there was just so much fun. Just being able to hang out with the other kids and just go out there and ride my bike. I mean, all kids, they're like love riding bikes, but this was like a different step. It was like you're actually racing against other people. Just fun. So that was probably like my best childhood memories.
That's cool. And you still ride today, right?
Yeah, I do. I not as much anymore just because my schedule's a little bit busier, but I love like anytime I can just kind of get out and ride my bike or go to a track somewhere, which is definitely like a little challenging because people are a lot faster now.
Yeah, you're the only BMX racer I know. Are you good?
I mean, practice makes perfect. You know?
That's pretty cool. So, what led you to want to join the military?
So, growing up, I always wanted to be a cop, or I always wanted to do like, I never really grew out of that phase that a lot of kids go through. And so I originally had the goal of being an air marshal. And I was talking to my dad, and we were just kind of talking about what would set me up the most. And so we looked into like the Marine MP or Navy. I was like, I don't want to really be on a boat for 9 months.
Yeah.
So I ended up going to the Air Force and just like talked to the recruiter, and he's like, yeah, like I can get you security forces without a doubt. And I was like, you know what? Sounds cool. Let's do
Yeah.
it.
They show you the
Yeah.
pictures too. Like
Yeah,
you're in
they
a
should.
SWAT team. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, wow, like I want to do that.
Yeah.
And being like 16, 17, I was like, yeah, that looks so cool. And so at 17, I graduated high school, and I graduated on Friday and shipped out the following Monday.
Mm.
So I left like immediately because I knew that's what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I joined about in 2023 and just kind of left everything and just started a new chapter out in San Antonio, Texas.
Nice. And how was that transition for you?
Dude, it was hot. I'm like, I went like in the middle or like the start of June. I was out there all the way to like October. So like peak heat. And so being out there, it was a lot of fun, as well as like basic training though. It was definitely difficult being like 17, surrounded by all these other people.
Mhm.
And I mean, these are people all over the country, and they just mesh you guys together within, and you got to be best buds by the end of 7.5 weeks.
Yeah.
And so it was definitely a lot of butting of heads for the first couple nights, but just basic training. It was a little hard just not living on my own, having like a lot of family around me to go and just kind of be put by yourself or like away from people that you know, and no communication with them. Yeah, you could write letters, but you couldn't have your phone. You call them once when you get there, maybe a couple times during basic training, but you're like focusing on training and just becoming like just a military member. And so it was definitely took some adjustment, but it was definitely a lot of fun. There was some really good memories in basic training. So one time in basic training, so like you have to make your beds or whatever, and every morning you make your bed. Sometimes you make them more than once during the day, and it was a Sunday, so our MTIs weren't there, and they're like there might be one or two, but they're not like there with you. And so it was like probably our fifth, sixth week in, and we were all laying on our beds. And like once you make your bed, you're not supposed to touch it. Like
Yeah.
you're not. If you sit down, you have like a little chair you're supposed to be sitting down in.
Yep.
But we were all just like laying down in our beds. And I was like, you know what? This feels wrong. So I got up out of my bed and I went to the day room, and I sat in there with somebody else, just kind of talking to him. And as soon as I sat down in there, I hear the MTI open up the door, and he's like yelling at the person next to the door because he's like not wearing shoes at CQ. But like as soon as everybody heard that, it was dead silent. Nobody was talking because I think they thought it was like another trainee just messing around. And then he walks into like the first bay, and he just screams, he's like, what is everybody doing in their beds? And then you just hear everybody in the second bay like shuffling out of their bed, sitting in the chair. He like runs over there real quick to see if he can see anyone, which he didn't. But eventually he's like, he pulled like everybody's 341s because he could like look on the bed and see that it was moved. Yeah. But he came into the day room and saw that me and the other guy were sitting in there. So he was like, oh, you guys are good. But everybody else, you're laying in your beds. And I was like, oh,
man.
So was I, but I
Man.
didn't tell him.
It was a good time in BMT. I think, like you said about like no phones, I think that's probably really difficult for people now because people are just so attached to their phone.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So you went to tech school right after BMT?
Yeah, tech school still in San Antonio. I was there at Lackland for a while. Tech school was fun, still during the heat. We start on the normal, I think we start on the Lackland side, or we start at the range, M4 firing. That was just kind of growing up, being able to shoot guns. That was pretty easy. But tech school wise wasn't too difficult. Made some good friends there. Just had fun like actually being out and hands-on stuff compared to a lot of other jobs that they're very like back office or very like computer stuff. And I like actually being out there in the woods, like getting into it or rucking, doing whatever we can. And so that was better, even though it was like extremely hot out. But and then we went over to Bullis, which is like maybe 30 minutes away from Lackland, and that's where I found a bunch of scorpions. I was like, I mean, I thought scorpions were only in like
Movies.
other
Yeah.
countries. Like, yeah, I didn't think we had scorpions in actual America or in Texas, let alone. But I found them there. I was taking a shower, and in the showers in Bullis, they have like these like little grates or whatever, so you're not standing on the ground.
Yeah.
But it's like you can see all the scorpions running under you. I'm like, dude, I need shower shoes. So it was cool to see them. But
Dang.
and cactus, I've never seen cactus before then. I was like, I thought that was just in the movies.
Yeah. So at what point did you find out about your first base?
It was, I think, week 2. You find out. You make a dream sheet in basic training, the end of it, and kind of like apply to all these bases. And I had got F.E. Warren in Wyoming, and I was like, yeah, like that's cool. That's Cheyenne, Wyoming. Sounds like a lot of fun. But then I started asking around to see who else was going, and none of my buddies were going. No one that I knew was going there. I mean, there were people on my team that went there, but I was like not really close with them.
Yeah.
So I ended up switching for Whiteman, Missouri. And because like my really good buddies were going there, I was like, yeah, I'm so excited they have the B2s there. Like,
Yeah.
this sounds like a bunch of fun. And so I ended up switching for that. But so I'm glad I was able to get with my friends, but the location in Missouri isn't as good as Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So when did you get to your first base?
So I got at Whiteman in November, I want to say. So I graduated on Halloween on tech school, and then I went back home on wrap and leave for a while to see my family, which is very cool. I hadn't seen them since I graduated, and so it was good to just kind of take a break and be like a normal human for a while. And then and then I went to Missouri like the second week of November or something, and got into phase 1 in process. I actually got to Missouri, and you're supposed to have a sponsor that like helps like show you around, gives you your house key or whatever, or your dorm key. And I got there and he was asleep. I was like, well, how do I get on base? Like, what do I do? I'm so confused. But I ended up getting on base and getting a hotel for the night. As soon as I got inside and put my clothes away, he had called me. He was like, dude, where are you at? I was like, in the hotel. He was like, no, I already got your room key. Like, whatever. Like, you need to come out. So I ended up getting my dorm that night, which is cool. And I got reimbursed for the hotel. But it was kind of got there during the cold of Missouri, and that wasn't the best. It was snowing, and I'm like used to this Texas heat to go to snowing. I'm like shivering, and
it's like 40 degrees.
Yeah, I'm like, let me go inside.
Yeah.
This is cold out here.
Yeah. So I think for you being stationed at Whiteman, I think you have a little bit of unique perspective because of the mission that's there. So how would you explain how it is to be there, like at the first base there at Whiteman in security forces?
Being at Whiteman, just being at a global strike base is so much different than like normal law enforcement bases. And it's definitely like I talked to all these people that I went to tech school with, or just other security forces people, and they're at actual law enforcement bases, and they talk about, yeah, they're on their phone the whole time, they're doing all this. I'm like, phone, what's that? Like, gotta go 12 hours without that. And so it's being the first base, it kind of like being a first term airman, that's your first base, definitely isolates you a lot, just because it's like you don't really, I mean, you're just coming out of tech school, you're just coming out of basic training, and you get there to this base, and now you're expected to just kind of figure it out. And so you get put in like a shack for 14 hours, or you get put in like this Humvee by yourself or whatever. It's like you just kind of like have a very just kind of sit and wait kind of thing. And so it was definitely took a lot of getting used to for a while, but found a good group of people out there eventually.
I always tell people if you can make it at a base like that, then your next base you'll think it's a dream.
Yeah.
If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, like you don't. So like other bases, you go on TDYs or all that. Like you have all these opportunities, but at this base, it's just kind of like you're focused on this specific mission.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's definitely, if you can get through that, like you can get through any base.
When did you start going to church? I know I kind of saw you at an award ceremony. That's the first time I saw you, but then I saw you go into the church there. So yeah, tell us a little bit about that. What led you to want to go to church? And yeah.
So, like I said, I grew up in a big household. I grew up with a lot of people around me, and to go from that to out by yourself, living on your own, being 18 years old, living in like this closet space they call a dorm, and I'm like, well, I don't know what to do. Like I had my bikes, like I could go ride or whatever, but it was during the winter, so I couldn't. And so I was just like by myself alone, and I just kind of let my thoughts kind of run for a while. And I just felt like, I mean, at the time, just getting integrated on flight, it was just very demanding, and a lot of people were just not happy. And so I got to a point where I just felt like I was better off not being here anymore. And I knew it was wrong. I knew that uh, I was hurting, and I called my grandma. I was like, Grandma, like, I am scared. I have these thoughts, and I'm like, I don't want to be here anymore. And she was like, Pumpkin, you need to just go to church. And I was like, yes, ma'am. So I went to First Baptist Church in Warrensburg, and I went out there a couple Sundays, and I just kind of looked around. I was like, Lord, like, there's all these families, there's all these people, like they all have like their own little niche that they sat with, and I just kind of still felt alone. And I just like, before I went in the last Sunday, I was like, Lord, like, if this isn't it, like, I'm not doing it anymore. Like, I'm not going to church. Like, this is it. I'm getting out. And I went into church. I'm looking for anything and everything, any sign that the Lord would give me. And I lost hope after the sermon, after it was done. And I went to walk out, and I was like, okay, Lord, you made your decision. And as soon as I opened up that first set of doors, this guy came up to me named Trip, and he ran me out. He was like, hey, man, like, we kind of talked a little bit, but, like, I feel like the Lord wants me to take you in my van 100 or 50 miles north with my family to go to Winter Jam. I was like, what? That sounds so weird. But I was like, you know what? Fine. And I took that leap of faith, and, like, right then and there, I knew that I made the right decision. I knew like the Lord knew my heart and what I needed. And just ever since then, like he has just been able to help me just through any time that I've ever felt alone, or just through anything at all. He's always there. And so I got connected with Tripp and his family, and he actually baptized me in at that church, which was really cool. And so eventually I kind of like sitting with him more, and just met new people, met you guys, and got connected with y'all. And which actually, like, you being a canine handler, I was like, oh, well, like, I think canine's cool. Like, I want to go do that. And that's whenever I started getting connected with that. I was like, wow, like, the Lord can connect you with people that will just help you just in this world too. Like, just help you just with your like, never would I think if I went to a church that's going to help me in my military walk, and it did without a doubt.
Yeah, community is so huge. But I just want to unpack that just a little bit. So like, when did you get to a point when you were like, okay, I have to surrender? Because I know it probably there was a little bit of a process, but yeah, kind of tell us about that a little bit.
So Yeah, once when I got connected with them, that's like truly whenever I believe that God knew my heart, and then he just kind of started to like show me the Bible and tell me more about Jesus, and I was like, "Oh, well, this Jesus guy sounds pretty cool." I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
like he died for me? What?
Yeah.
But like just like fully understanding that like he I mean, God loves us so much that he would send just his son to die on the cross for me for like how much I've done wrong and how much that I will do wrong, and he loves us so much that he just would do that for us. And I was like, yeah, like I surrender it to you, like I give it to you. And so that was probably in uh maybe March of 2024 I was saved, and then a couple weeks later I got baptized.
Man, that's so cool. And so, how would you say your life changed after you did that?
Dude, I mean, first of all, I never had those thoughts again. I
Mm-hmm.
never like felt alone again.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
just to go from like how much how much I've done wrong, and just how much stress, anxiety, and depression that I had, to just be able to just and give it to him was just so good. And I mean, everything changed just from then. And I just had like this whole new outlook of looking at stuff, or like just walking in just this life. Like before, I would be like gossiping about everybody, or just being talking about like, oh, this base sucks, like all these people, I don't like them, whatever. And to go from that to just being able to look at like the good in people, and be
Mm-hmm.
able to look at like just how much of an opportunity that being in Missouri gave me, it
Mm-hmm.
just changed my focus 100%. Like it was like a switch.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just really cool, and it he continues to help guide me just right now on where I'm at.
Mm-hmm. Wow, man, that's so encouraging. Um, so yeah, as you've grown in your faith, what would you say your favorite Bible verse is?
They're my favorite Bible verse. There's so many good verses out there. I mean, just they're all really good, but I like James 1:19, and it talks about just being quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. And that like you can just use it so much in your life. And like if you're having somebody like, maybe somebody wronged you, or they're saying like, "Oh, you did this wrong." They're screaming at you or whatever, and you just want to scream right back to them. I just got to remind myself, James 1:19, like let me just listen to what they're actually saying, and maybe even take self accountability, and realizing, okay, why are they doing this? And that's what helped me just kind of go from uh being whenever I first got on flight, I would always blame it on, oh, well, my supervisor just doesn't like me, or these people just don't like me because I'm new, or uh, instead, like just being able to realize, like, okay, maybe I'm doing this wrong. And that's what he's trying to show me. And so it just really just helps me just kind of take a step back and understand the full scenario, or whatever it is, and just being able to like take self accountability about it, and also like understand why people are just talking about it.
Mm. And so I kind of think we should talk about a little bit of, how important community is. Cause like,
Mhm.
obviously, like you said, when you were in your dorm alone, compared to now you're in like a church community and all that. So, um, I say all that to ask, what piece of advice would you give to someone that's in the dorms right now, that's hurting, that's feeling lonely?
Get out. I mean,
Yeah.
like, get out and explore. Get out and just plug yourself in a church. Just do something that is not in your dorm. And I know, like, they say that, like, whenever you first get there, and they're like, yeah, like, I know Whiteman or wherever you're at, they're just, you need to get out and do things. But, like, you need to actually do it. Like, don't just stay in your room playing video games. Like, I truly think you need to get just even one buddy and go fishing, go hiking, go bowling even. Like there's so much stuff to do, and just keeping yourself occupied or just being able to be in a community just helps you so much because you can be able to lean on them more. You can be able to grow with each other. And being in like a Christian community just helps you so much more because it's like I mean, you iron sharpens iron, and it's like you can be able to, I mean, just have so many I've had so many mentors in my life. I mean, just you being one of them, and just whenever you were out in Missouri, just living with you or this hanging out with you and your family just helps me grow and be in that community as well as like other people out there. So I encourage whoever's in the dorms to get out, find somebody. Even they don't have to be your age. I mean, you're not my age.
Well, kind of, you know.
Give her a few years.
Yeah.
But like just find somebody. Just hang out with them. Go get food with them. Just get out of your dorms.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, it also takes a leap of faith, right? Like
Yeah.
you have to put yourself out
Yeah.
there. You know, if you go to a church and no one says hi to you, right? Like you still got to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
And if maybe that's the church that's not for you, just keep looking. You just got to keep trying. But yeah.
For sure. And I mean, you can't just expect to go out and, which I obviously expected it, just kind of going out to First Baptist, but you can't expect to just go out to a church and you go to the sermon. Okay, as soon as it's over, you run out the doors. Like nobody's gonna, you're just gonna slip by. And so if you just like take that leap of faith, go say hi to somebody, and it can just be somebody that's holding the door. Like it doesn't have to be just somebody with a family or just some person that's sitting by themselves. Like just go out there and just talk to anybody you can, or get plugged in with a small group. And which I love small groups so much because those actually help you grow and like have accountability and just be able to focus on each other. And I just encourage you, get plugged into a small group, get plugged into a church, and actually like talk to people.
So now that you've been saved, how do you look back at your childhood and kind of be able to heal from a lot of the stuff from your childhood?
So growing up, I know I talked a little bit about my mom. I didn't talk too much about my dad. He wasn't really in the picture as much. He had lived in just a different part, and just kind of growing up, I was like, oh well, I want to go live with him or whatever. Like the grass always looked greener on the other side. But until I realized like how much he had just lied about stuff, as like, oh, I'm gonna come and see you, and never really did. Or like I remember one time I went up to my granddad's, lives maybe like 10 minutes from my dad. I went up there to go visit him. He's got like a barbecue restaurant and all that. And I was like, hey, I texted him. I was like, hey, like I'm in town. You want to go to McDonald's or something? And he was like, oh, I got a headache. I'm not doing it today. I was like, wow. So like after that, I really understood that it wasn't my fault. Like it was because he just didn't want to do it. So I had resented him for a long time because of it. I mean, just growing up, like that was probably I 18, 19 is whenever I finally forgave him, and which took a lot of work. I mean, that was after I was saved. God was really putting it on my heart on like he's still your father. Like he is still who gave I mean, he is still who gave you life. And so I had talked to my pastor a little bit, and I was like, hey, like I feel like God's calling me to forgive him, but just how do I forgive him after all he just wronged me? And he was just like, listen, like you're called to forgive, but you don't have to forget. You don't have to have that relationship with him if you don't want to, which really just kind of helped me and just kind of comfort my feelings. And I was like, I called him and I was like, hey, like, I just want to tell you that I forgive you for everything that you've done, everything that just you put me through growing up, just not even being there. And I just truly forgive you. And I just told him like, hey, like I need some time because I it's not about just forgiving him once. Like I can't just forgive him once and say that I forgive him tomorrow. Like I need to just constantly forgive him whenever I would think about how much that he's wronged me. And so that really helped me growing up. And then unfortunately, a year later after I forgave him, he had passed away. And it really just kind of uh helped bring ease to me knowing that I forgave him and that he wouldn't have to worry about, oh, how much he's wronged me growing up, and just that he's not suffering anymore, which really helps. And so I feel like if I didn't forgive him then, I don't know if I ever would have, and I probably would still be wrestling with that now. But just being able to just use what God has given me and just his spirit living inside of me is what truly made me forgive him.
Because I'm sure before you met Christ, they're probably that'd have been really difficult to
Yeah,
do
I
on
mean,
your.
so just I was surrounded by just my siblings telling me that, oh, he did this, he did that, they didn't like him, whatever. And uh then I would never forgive. I mean, I wouldn't even talk to him. And I'd be like, I don't care how much you say that you've done or how much you uh, donate to some charity. Like, I will never forgive you. You did this to me and I don't like you because of it. And then I was like, whoa, that is dark. After like being saved and understanding like how much I've done wrong to so many people and that God forgave me. So who am I to not forgive him? And I was like, I mean, 100% I forgive you. And that just kind of lifted the weight off my chest too. And it wasn't for him necessarily, but it was for myself to be able to not have that animosity towards him anymore and just be able to just give it to the Lord and just tell him that I forgave him.
Yeah, man, and I'm really proud of you. And from the time that I first met you to now, just the way that you've grown, it is so apparent that Jesus is in your life. And yeah, I'm just so excited. But I think what we should talk about now is just a little bit about the season that you're in, and kind of like what you're going through and kind of what you're doing
Okay.
to kind of help that.
Yeah, so the season I'm kind of going through right now is just like, I mean, I've just grown so much just in my faith and walking with Jesus, and I feel like I'm at the point where I need to understand what being a leader is
Mm-hmm.
and just be able to just lead in a community as well as in a relationship. So I've been just kind of focusing on what makes a man of God.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that being said, like I just kind of plug myself in with just men's group and just being able to uh have them disciple me and just connecting with married couples and understanding how they honor God through their relationship. So I been just kind of growing as I seek to find my wife and just
Mm-hmm.
being able to just pray for her, even though I don't know where she is
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
what she's doing, but I know that she's probably going through some trials too, and I know she's preparing for me. So I just pray for her and that God's timing will eventually, I mean, his timing is perfect. So I don't necessarily worry as much when she's gonna come into my life. But while while he may be preparing me, he's preparing her too. So I just think about like whenever I first got saved, I was like, oh well, now I have to go get married, have kids, whatever. And I had like that strong desire to, and I understood like God was saying, no, you're not ready yet. And so I'm so thankful that he didn't, excuse me, he didn't let a lot of relationships work out, or not even a lot of relationships. He just didn't let people that I had thought were I mean, they were godly women, and God was like, that's not for you yet. And so I'm just thankful that he didn't let that happen. Which just kind of helping me understand how important marriage is and how important purity is. I was 16 years old, and I was in a relationship, first relationship, high school sweetheart, whatever. And I had ended up sleeping with her. And that at the time I was just walking so blindly, and I just thought it was like, oh yeah, everybody's doing it, like what's wrong with it? And eventually that urge had uh kind of pushed her away. And at the time I was actually I was watching some online videos, and it was not helping at all. And I would take those videos and that dopamine rush and be like, hey, well, maybe I can try that whenever my girlfriend comes over. And it, like, what really hurt me was understanding, like, even now, how far I had pushed her. And like, yeah, it was consensual, but it was like I could tell that this is not what I should know. Like, I shouldn't know how to do these things. And that's why I like just urge to so many people now, like, don't watch it. Like, that is just, it just hurts you so bad. Like, it's just like it brings like a short term gratification maybe, but like in the long run it does not help at all. And so just being able to realize back then, or realize now that back then I was just uh not doing what was right, and to be able to be saved now and understand how important that is. God put me through that for a reason. I mean, if it wasn't for just not having all these things that I would have imagined, like having a wife or having like all these luxurious things, uh like a nice car or something, it if it wasn't for that, like, I don't think I would have such a intimate relationship with God. And just being able to just search into his word of how to forgive myself for those, because I know God has already forgiven me for that. And it's up to me to be able to forgive myself and ask them to forgive me, which recently I just reached out to her and just told her that I put my trust in Jesus and that I knew what I did was wrong, and just took full responsibility of it and just asked for forgiveness for that. But I uh I think that now, being saved, understanding the actual like intent for sexual relationships is for a marriage, and just how important that is just very encouraging to just stay away from that. Like, don't even be tempted. Like, yeah, you're going to get tempted. I mean, even Jesus was tempted. But as soon as I think about that, I just surrender that thought to Jesus. And I'm like, I I know that I have my flesh, and I know that, like, oh, that girl might look good or something, and I'm like, Lord, it's not that I don't want that, it's I don't want that. Like, because I mean, I have to be humble too. I have to like realize, like, yeah, that's just uh like a sexual nature. Like, that is in God gave me that for a reason, but that's intended for marriage for my wife. And so just being able to understand that really helps. And through the season of singleness, it has just given me so many opportunities to just grow in his word and not have to put so much pressure on me as like worrying about, oh, well, if I'm in this relationship now, I can't do as much, or I have to worry about her thoughts, her feelings too. because I have to honor her, as well as like I may not be spiritually mature enough to be able to lead her like God calls me to. And so just being able to be content with him and knowing that God will bless me if that's his if that brings the most glory to him. And so that's just kind of where I've been at. And I mean, he helps. I mean, sometimes I'll just kind of like think, oh well, Lord, there's all these people getting married, and I feel like I'm missing out. But I'm like, it will happen. I mean, he'll bless it. So
Wow, what a honorable way to live, with your relationships and trying to mend stuff from before. I think that's really good. And I think what you're talking about, I mean, everyone is dealing with that right now, the temptations and,
mm,
and all that. And like you said, God designed that for marriage.
yeah,
There's a pastor that put it this way that, you know, sex is like a fire, right? If it's in a fireplace where it's controlled, it can heat a house, you can, go up to it and it provides comfort but a fire outside of that fireplace, is destruction and all
yeah,
that. So yeah, that kind of, ties into, having it, within marriage. So
yeah,
yeah, I appreciate you sharing all that.
yeah. And a big encouragement to me, or just being able to understand. So in San Antonio, Texas, I just recently went back down there for canine school. Um, I had kind of met with this pastor, and I got connected with this family, which was really cool. And he just kind of told me like, listen, like, just understanding that sin will take you farther than you want to go, keep you longer than you want to stay, and take more than you want to give.
Mm-hmm.
And just understanding that helps me like realize like sin is powerful,
Mm-hmm.
and the only way to defeat it is through Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And just being able to surrender that to him, so encouraging
Mm-hmm.
and just so helpful. So
Yeah. And I'm really glad I knew this, but I mean, I was really happy that when you went down there for canine school for 3 months, you got plugged into a church, because
yeah.
that's huge, going down there, and it's difficult. So,
Yeah, going down there, I mean, I I was excited. I mean, like I've been working to go canine for like over a year, and it was just I was excited to go down there, not realizing that there's going to be so much temptation down there. Like there was just I mean, all these women in San Antonio, Texas during the heat, like they were just people were out, and just being able to realize like, oh, I need to get plugged into a church and a community, because I mean, ultimately, I'm an adult and I am going to have to make my own decisions. And being able to have that strong relationship with Christ really helped me realize, like, okay, I can make the decision to go to this place. I can make the decision to go out with this girl. But being able to realize, like, that might lead into something else, or she might ended up coming back to my hotel or something. That's not what I wanted. And I as soon as like I understood that that temptation was going to be there, I needed to get plugged in so quickly, and to be able to just kind of just be accountable, and just kind of give that to the other believers that I met out there was just very helpful. And I mean, God was with me through the whole time. I mean, God had helped me get through canine course, because it was not easy. It was tough. I mean, yeah, I had a lot of fun working with the dogs, and but just being able to uh just I had some teammates, and we uh we were all really cool with each other for the first couple weeks, and then we just started butting heads. It was starting to get to like the middle to the end of the course, and just realizing like just all the stuff that they would go through, or just the fighting or whatever, and just being able to use what God had given me as like just being able to, okay, let's take a step back, guys. Like let's sit here and talk about why we feel this way, and just being able to be that light through that darkness right there. I mean, that's why God puts me through these stuff or through these trials, because it's like he helped me grew and gave me that wisdom to be able to help just disciple them. And I may not have used like the word or use the Bible specifically talking to them, but to be able to use the good fruits that God has given me to be able to help them might honestly plant the seed in them. And so that helped. And also, like being in that community helped me understand how to do that.
Hmm. And I think a key thing that you said is like what's in the Bible, right? And one
Yeah.
thing that I've noticed is that you are in your Bible a lot.
Yeah.
Can you talk about just how important that is to do that? Not only
Dude,
just go to Sunday, service, and then never read your Bible.
the way I think about it is like this. So if I eat this uh donut from Krispy Kreme, I'm like, oh, that looks so good, I want to eat it or whatever. Okay, that may not help my diet so good. Or that may not like actually uh help feed my hunger or whatever. Or if I eat this very good protein food of steak and green beans or some type of vegetable and mashed potatoes, something that really like fills me up and nurtures my body. Same thing with what the word does. The word isn't just about getting to understand God. Yes, it helps you understand him and his way and how much he loves us and just how much he puts you through and just helps you grow, but it also nurtures your soul, or it helps you just, I mean, people talk about it, it's a feeling that, oh, uh, why don't I feel God? Is he close? It's because you haven't read your Bible. It's
Right.
because you're not
I'm,
in his word.
yeah, I mean that's the one way that he talks to us. Sometimes he might talk to you audibly, right? But
Yeah.
the main way that he communicates is the
Yeah.
Bible.
Yeah, so the pastor in San Antonio that I connected with, he explained it like whenever you read your Bible, it's like you want to read it more and more. Like whenever you get into his word, it's not like a discipline. No, like whenever you get into it, it's like it draws you in and you stay there for a while and you continue to grow. But whenever you stop reading it, whenever you okay, maybe you read it Monday, Tuesday, and Sunday or something, and then you don't read it Wednesday, Thursday, as soon as you stop reading it, you're going to start reading it less and less. Like it's not like something where, oh, I'm going to desire it more because I have that discipline. No, it's like whenever you stay in his word, you're going to continue to want his word.
At Whiteman, have you been able to use your faith to help someone?
Dude, 100%. I mean, just even like off the job and on the job a lot, but specifically like this one time we had responded to this it was a domestic, and fire and medical had responded first because it was there was just like a medical incident, and they said they didn't need us until eventually they had said, okay, the woman's being combative, like we need you guys here. So we responded, and I got there, and it was this woman had locked herself in the room with her 3 kids and taken a bunch of pills and told her kids that she wasn't going to be here anymore. And uh, she was fully planned to overdose in front of her kids. And first of all, that hit very close to home because whenever I was 10, my mom overdosed on drugs. And I immediately went into how can I help her right now? Like, I don't care about, oh, if somebody's gonna, like, is there somebody else in the house that's gonna stop me from doing this? No, like, my main focus was her. And I, like, just sat there with her and just talked to her. I was like, listen, like, I don't care about, oh, you're locking people out or you're hitting people. Like, I don't care about any of that right now. Right now, I care about how much those kids need you and just understanding that you are a big part of their life, and to be able to use how I just the using how knowing how much my mom meant to me, to be able to just kind of talk to her and tell her like, hey, like this is those kids really do need you. you may not think that right now. You may think that, oh, you might, like she was telling herself she was a bad mother, or that she just, their kids didn't deserve her. And I was like, no, like your presence alone is so important to those kids. And just being able to use what God had put me through to be able to help her and calm her down. Eventually, she had let us use, or had let medical work on her and took her to the hospital, which is so good. She ended up surviving, and she's living a healthy life with her family. It was just so encouraging. And it was definitely, I was like, wow. I mean, God, you put me through that to be able to help her.
Yeah.
And so it was just
Man.
very helpful.
Man, that's so cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just wrapping up, why should someone follow Jesus?
Dude, there's a lot there. 100%. But like the biggest advice that I could give, or like the biggest reason, is like, it's not an easy walk. It's not gonna be sunshine and rainbows. Just even like in this world, like you might think that having a wife or having a lot of money might fill that void, but it's not. Like that is a void inside your soul that only one man can fill, and that's Jesus. And just I mean, you go through so much in your life. I mean, whether it's just grief or losing a job, or even good things too, just being able to just surrender it all to him and like not have to worry about tomorrow and or next week. Like God already has a plan for that. So I just tell you, like, just give it to Jesus, because that is just so much easier, so much better. And honestly, like, you don't have to worry about anything. Like, that is so much, like, if I worry about like why I worry about why don't I have a wife or whatever, and I get in my own head and I'm like, wait a second, God has a plan for this.
Yeah.
Just give it to him, and I just walk so much more confidently and
Yeah.
so much better. Just, if you want to not worry and give your anxiety and stress to him like that, if you don't want that anymore, I encourage you to give it to Jesus.
Man, thank you so much. That
Yeah.
was really good. So yeah, like I said, man, I'm so proud of you. Just the man you've became,
Thank you.
and just how you're leading, you know, Bible studies.
Yeah.
And man, just it's so cool to see, and you're an encouragement to me.
Thank you.
I appreciate you coming on.
Dude, thanks for having me. I'm glad we were able to actually make this work
Yeah.
and be here in person.
Yeah. So.
Thanks again for listening to another episode of Faith in the Line of Duty. If you're a first responder or in the military and have a story you'd like to share, email me at faithinthelineofduty@gmail.com. You could be a guest on a future episode. To continue the conversation, visit my Facebook and Instagram page. Thanks again for tuning in, and join me next time for another encouraging story of faith in the line of duty.